The researchers found 36 studies examining the three domains of workplace interventions. These include work accommodations, health-focused interventions provided at the workplace, and service coordination. Strong evidence was found that time away from work is reduced by interventions that include at least two of these domains. They also found moderate evidence for a positive impact on cost outcomes. One study related to back pain found that every $1 spent on work accommodations and work-focused healthcare returned $40 in cost savings. So it definitely can be cost beneficial in the long term. Lastly, they found strong evidence that cognitive behavioral therapy interventions that do not include workplace accommodations or service coordination are not effective. So work accommodations are a necessary element of successful work reintegration and appear to be worth the cost through reducing long-term work disability. Another question that often arises is how do we prescribe or determine what work accommodations are needed? Traditionally, these recommendations have been based on the load capacity model, where work capacity or ability is assessed and then compared to workload or required job demands. If capacity does not meet or exceed required loading demands, recommendations are then to either increase ability through rehabilitation or strengthening interventions, or to reduce workload through accommodations and modified duties. This engineering model has been relied on for decades. It has lots of intuitive appeal, and we know a mismatch between capacity and load is a good predictor of long-term work disability. But there are some limitations of the model when trying to assess capacity in fluctuating health conditions that cause episodic disability. And there are limitations around the measurement of work demands, which also fluctuate and can be unpredictable. But in general, this model has been a very useful conceptual foundation of work rehabilitation. There's several approaches to measuring both capacity and job demands. These come from the perspective of the worker or employer. And there are also attempts to quantify each through direct measurements. Each approach has strengths and limitations, and probably the best approach is to use a variety of assessments and bring all that information together into a return to work planning meeting, where everyone involved in the case can work collaboratively to discuss the situation, problem solve, and come up with an individualized solution through a participatory ergonomics approach. We know that top-down directive approaches to ergonomic changes in workplace accommodations are rarely effective. We often end up with compliance or uptake problems, and the generic solutions don't always work for individual cases. For sustainable uptake, all involved partners, and especially the worker, the employee with the health condition, need to have input and feel like their voice is being heard. This is really consistent with the spirit of Dr. Hadler's article, where he says, no individual should be expected to perform any task against their will, including any physical task that seems to the worker to be more demanding than that worker is comfortable meeting at that time.